Ready to go!
Hey guys, I am back. Sorry, still losing my voice from WAL 504, but I'm back home. I thought I'd go for another walk and reflect a little bit on the trip, reflect a little bit on the actual match, and a lot on what it means for me from here. So firstly, look, everybody involved in that trip, WAL 504 Los Angeles, was everything I could have dreamt of. I really couldn't have had a better trip. I met so many amazing people that I haven't met in person before, and I had a blast. My wife came with me, Heather, for the first time. It was the first time she's been at a live event, and it was really special for me to have her in the corner. So thank you, honey, for coming, and thank you to everybody who also made Heather feel at home in that crowd as well. It's been such a rapid change for me the last couple of years. The sport has really evolved for me, the opportunities, the people, and it was really special to feel welcomed in that upper echelon of talented arm wrestlers. Devin Larratt, Matt Mask, Dave Chafee, everyone there. I'd already met Alan Fisher before, but Jamie Sheldon, everyone. Sylvain Perron was truly welcoming to both myself and Heather, so thank you guys. Marlon Kleinsmith, Fia Rice, you girls especially, were a lot of fun, and I saw a lot of people asking why on earth my nails were painted. And the answer to that is basically Fia and Marlon cornered me and painted my toenails in Swedish colors. But who's gonna say no, really? Seriously, who's gonna say no to those two ladies when they corner you like that? But anyway, Alan Guerra, thank you very much, sir, for the match. I will say that is my hardest victory so far in arm wrestling. I really had to go to a place in that match. I was battling demons, and the demons were telling me that my lactic acid threshold had already reached its limit, and that essentially I wasn't sure whether I had what I needed to win. Round one, your low hand cupping ability felt enormous, and I love the way that you trash talked me too. You used my own psychology, that pin yourself psychology, against me, and I think that was a very smart play. But I've never had anyone do that to me before like you did, so I enjoyed that. Thank you. I enjoyed it, but I didn't take the bait, and I didn't really fight. I just maintained some hand position as best I could, given the dominant position you were in, and then from there, you finished me with a press, and we went on to the second round. For me, going into the second round, I said to John Brzenk in the corner that I felt good. I felt the angles of what the threat was, and I was confident that I could find a stop in the second match. We went to straps, and probably the hardest round of the day for me was that round right there, that second round, where I got your hand and wrist, but it wasn't over. Your arm from there felt ridiculously strong and immovable. I've never actually felt anyone with their wrist back like that feel quite as strong. So very, very impressive amount of side pressure from Alan Guerra in that respect. But a lot of people think that once I had your hand and wrist, that I was showboating a little and that I wasn't pinning when I could have. I wanted to actually clear that up, because even though it looks like I was in a position where I should have been able to pin Alan, I'll tell you right now, I couldn't. Alan Guerra's side pressure right there was very, very impressive, and I was unable to get any sort of transition to the press whilst he still had a significant amount of energy and he hadn't yet been bled out. So Alan Guerra's side pressure from that wrist back position is very, very, very solid. But that second round, you went on the attack after I had your hand, and you got so close. There was moments where I was holding my breath and redlining so bad when it came to a lactic acid tolerance, but managed to eventually get the shoulder behind for the win. Round 3 was another war. I didn't know that I was going to win that round at any point in that match. The rounds went on and we were locked again. I had your wrist, you had your shoulder jammed up, and it was a war. I think, Alan, you ended up doing a giant professional sort of running foul in an attempt to get a pin, which Bart restarted. I think you got away with one there, but in terms of the lactic acid in my arm at that moment, it had probably never been higher, to be honest. That was probably the peak of lactic acid that I've ever had in my life in an arm wrestling match. And I remember going into round 4, so I led 2-1. I said to John Brzenk in the corner that I couldn't close my hand. Now, even though I had hand control in most of the matches, my hand was absolutely gassed. It was blown. I couldn't close my hand at all, and those demons were really starting to enter into my mind. I knew that you were going to be in a similar situation, Alan. I knew that your hand was equally going to be as busted up. Your shoulder was probably full of lactic acid. My bicep was cactus. There wasn't a lot left, and John and I discussed in the corner that I was going to need to transition to a press as early as possible, because John actually said to me at that change between round 3 and 4 that the match was still a 50-50, that if I went back into just a side pressure sense, that there was no certainty I was going to win this thing. So it was John's recommendation that I take your wrist and immediately transition into a press, even if I was outside my shoulder. So I did that, and once I got to that position, I could feel some freshness in my arm, some freshness in my side pressure, because we had a new group of muscles that were able to come to the party, and fortunately for me, I got to keep you on the same set of muscles that you'd been on for the entire match. So that resulted in a 3-1 victory. I went a little crazy, jumped on the table. My kids at home, Eliza, has been telling me that I'm silly, and that she saw me jump on the table, thought it was crazy. Bradley, he watched it as well at home, had a great time. So it was a lot of fun knowing my kids were watching back home, and all the messages of support that I received. I've never had more notifications on my Facebook account and Instagram account and craziness. I received so many messages, guys. Thank you. I do apologize if I didn't get back to each of you personally on them, but it's it was overwhelming, the amount of support that I received. Big thanks has to go to John Brzenk. A lot of people, I know I put a post out about this, but a lot of people saw the fact and were kind of surprised that John was there in my corner. That to me was a really humbling experience. Obviously John is the greatest of all time at this sport, and to have someone in your corner like that influencing your decision making throughout the rounds really did make a difference. Now, like I said, it actually quantifiably made a difference to me. It gave me a confidence in my actual execution of arm wrestling, more than I've ever had before. John was able to silence the demons. John actually made me put ice in my hand where I didn't want to do that. He's like, no, trust me, you need ice in your hand. And as soon as John says, trust me on something, as an arm wrestler, you're going to listen to that man. So I trusted John, and John guided me exactly the way I needed to be. And that last round, that 4th round, I can tell you right now that I wouldn't normally be confident to just hit and immediately transition to a press. It's not something that I would do, but because John told me to do it, I just did it. And it felt right. It felt perfect for the scenario of what was needed, and it came through. So John's influence on me as an arm wrestler in that match was profound, but the most special thing was John's influence on me, just in my self-belief, and also what it meant to me as a friend as well. So John flew out from his home. He brought his whole family with him, off his own back. So it meant a real lot to me that the friendship was strong enough that John wanted to do that. So John, thank you, sir. It really genuinely did mean the world to me, and it was an absolute honor, so thank you. But guys, the overall event really was enjoyable. What it means for me, as you all know, I called out Justin Bishop. Justin and we obviously faced 2 years ago in October of 2017. Justin beat me 6-0. During that match, I managed to win the hand and wrist in that match 5 rounds out of the 6. And I believe I can do it. A little out of breath here, guys. Sorry, this is showing you my lack of aerobic fitness, but I believe I can beat Justin Bishop. The reason I believe it is I know I had the hand and wrist last time over the course of 6 rounds. I believe I can still win the hand and wrist against him now. And the one thing that's changed is I think I've had a lot of side pressure gains. When Justin faced me 2 years ago, I'd never trained anything but hand. I'd never trained back pressure, I'd never trained side pressure. I'd never trained any fundamental strengths at all. It had always been cupping, pronation, wrist rise, supination. And he exposed that on me. He made me realize that I need side pressure. It was literally losing that match to Justin 2 years ago when I said, okay, well, time to go and train some base power and some side pressure. And it's been 2 years of that, and it's been 2 years of that in a really good capacity. Todd Hutchings is now my strength coach, and obviously, as you can imagine, the emphasis is side pressure. Add to that the kind of just opportunities I've had with rubbing shoulders with the greats of American arm wrestling. I feel really ready. And my goal, as you know, I said in the last video that was a kind of reflective video, that I want to win the WAL Hammer. I believe 2020 is going to be the year that I'm going to get that opportunity. And if WAL gives me a match with Justin, which my gut feel is they're going to, and if it happens this year, hopefully in September, then this will be a real opportunity to establish myself as a potential #1 contender for a crack at the Hammer in 2020. So 2019 has been a phenomenal year for me as an arm wrestler. So much has evolved, and I feel like I've matured into my strength. But this is the final chapter of the year. A match with Justin Bishop would be the completion of the best possible year I could have ever had in the sport. Do I think I will win? I think, honestly, I expect Justin to be the favorite. And I saw I put a poll out on pound for pound arm wrestling, and he's about a 60-40 favorite. But do I believe it's possible? Absolutely. No doubt Justin has progressed since I met him last as well, but I feel I've progressed more and in the right places. I think the match comes down to the fact of, it's going to come down to the hand and wrist. I think that if I take the hand and wrist, Justin won't be able to pin me in the same manner that he did those 2 years ago. He's going to have to evolve and come up with something different. So I think Justin's actually probably going to try his hardest to win the hand and wrist in that match. I don't think he wants to have his wrist back this time. But one of the good things for me is I have an amazing training partner that I can prepare for Justin with, and that's Danny Tesh. You guys are going to see Danny Tesh in 505 very soon, what he's capable of. But I believe Danny Tesh can not only replicate Justin Bishop for me, but I believe he can be a better Justin than Justin himself. The back pressure and wrist rise that Danny has is phenomenal. If you want to see how Danny and Justin match up, YouTube search Justin Bishop v Danny Tesh. They've pulled before, and Danny won 5-1 over Justin on the left arm. I know Justin was traveling and all those other factors were involved, but Danny Tesh has a phenomenal amount of back pressure and wrist rise, and he can replicate for me Justin so well that I think I'm going to be really well prepared for this match should it come about. So guys, I'll leave it there. But look, 504, hugely satisfying for me. I've never felt as amazing as that in my arm wrestling journey. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you to everybody once again. You all mean a lot to me, and this journey is only just beginning, it feels like, and it's a super exciting time for me. So guys, thank you so much again. I'll see you soon.
Yes, that's a man!